Now I'm gonna be a little more demanding on where we go. He's kind of wandering a little too much. But ask him to he's not responding to my legs. Give him a little tap with the rein. Turn him to the right. Pull release. Pull release. Little left leg. Take him into a trot. He's getting excited. Pull release. Good. Just one pull and release, and he came right back down to a walk. That's what I want. He's going to trot again. Continue on the left. Pull release. Getting excited. Pull release. Pull release. There. As soon as he relaxed, I quit pulling and releasing. Pull release, pull release. We're going to turn into the left, into the fence, pull release, pull release, pull release. He's thinking about bucking a little bit. I'm going to be ready with my rein. As long as he's loping relaxed, I'm gonna let him lope. He's picking up too much speed. Pull release, pull release, pull release. There, he slowed down. Give him the slack. If he starts picking up too much speed, all you have to do is that pull release, and he'll come right back down. That was good. That was good. Ho, ho, and release. When I say whoa, I just put some little pressure in his mouth and just hold it very lightly. When he stops, I give him the slack. You don't want to, these first few rides, you don't want to try to force the whoa. You want to do it at a time when he's kind of wanting to stop. Ho, ho, pull release, ho. Good boy. Good. Now I don't care if he would have kept on walking another 10 feet. I would have just kept pulling and releasing until he stopped. Turn him to the left, little right leg. Good. As soon as he starts to move that direction, I release everything. That's his reward for responding. Do it again. Move to the left. Good. He went that way, so I release all the pressure. Oh. Good boy, good. Turn him to the right. Good. Whoop, he's not, bump, bump, bump. He didn't give his head. Ask him again. There, there. Oh, good. Well, this is a good first ride on this colt. You know, he basically did made the typical mistakes that most colts make, but overall he was pretty good. And I hope you got to see how you can use your pull and release on taking that head to the side to control him, to keep yourself out of trouble. This way, you're not completely safe, but you're relatively safe from getting into some big wrecks. It sure has the odds stacked in your favor instead of the other way around. Okay, we're gonna move on to our second horse here. This is a little 2-year-old gelding again. He's used to people, so he's not afraid. And I have messed with him a little bit. I've given him a couple leading lessons and taught him to follow my hand. And I've saddled him one time, but that's about it. He's had some time off. He came down with the cold, so we had to give him, we had to stop right just as we got it started. But we're gonna pick it back up and continue on. And I'm gonna just kind of refresh his memory here. I'm gonna do the same thing with him that I did with the other colt. I'm gonna see how he leads, and if it's not really good, I'm gonna go ahead and school him on that. Now see, right off the bat, he's not leading very good. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my little training whip and work on him a little bit. So I'm going to ask him to go. He's not really coming very good, so I'm going to give him a little touch. There we go. I'm going to walk a little faster. He should keep up with me. If he doesn't, I'm going to touch him with the whip. I'm going to turn into him. He should respect my space and move away from me. There we go. Now I'm going to walk a little faster. He should keep right up with me. He's doing pretty good. Give him a little touch. Good. Now that was pretty good. Now, I'm going to go ahead and teach him to lunge, which would be pretty easy. You saw how we did it with the other colt. This colt, I think, is going to be pretty easy to teach that too. The main thing is that you lead him with your left hand, and you kind of step to his hip at the same time to encourage him to move forward. So I'm going to lead him with this hand, and then I'm going to step to his hip, and I'm going to kind of stay at his hip here. That's going to drive him forward. Now if I want to move him into a different spot, I just walk right along with him. I'm kind of stay at his hip. Now he's picked this up pretty fast. This was too easy. Ho, ho. Say ho and bump him to get him to stop. Good. Good. Now he wants to come up, make sure he's okay, so I'm going to pet him here a little bit. Right there when he stopped and looked at me, he kind of wanted to come to me as if saying, you know, am I okay? Am I okay? And you want to let him know that, you know, he's okay. If he's doing good, you want to let him know. All right, now I'm going to ask him to go the other way. I'm going to lead him with my right hand and step to his hip, encourage him with the whip. Now if he wants to go fast right now, that's fine. Sounds like he has a little bit of a dry cough left over from his cold. Now whenever he gets out too far, I'm going to give him a pull and release on the lunge line. I don't want him hanging on this lunge line. He should go around without pulling on me. If he tries to pull on me, I'm gonna bump that lunge line. Okay, now I'm gonna ask him to go the other way by stepping to my right, leading him with my left hand, raise this up, step this way, hold the whip out, good. He's pulling on me, so I'm gonna pull and release on the lunge line. Let him know that he can't lug on me. He's wanting to slow down. I'm going to speed him up a little bit. I'm going to cluck to him. Ho, ho, bump, 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 ho. Good. Good boy. Good boy. You're okay. You're okay. Yeah. That's my boy. That's my boy. All right. Now we'll go ahead and saddle him. And here again, I want him to stand pretty still while I saddle him. Let him take a look at the blankets. Now already, I don't know if you can see the difference in this colt and the other colt. The other colt was pretty laid back. This colt's a little more sensitive, a little more inquisitive, a little more touchy. Oh, I'm just gonna let him feel these blankets. Do it on both sides. He wants to check out that saddle, that's fine. Oh. Good boy. Okay. Now, if you're having trouble getting your colt to stand still for this, you need to lunge him a little bit longer, get him a little tired, get him tired enough to where he's looking for the point to stand still and rest, and then they'll stand still for this real easy. If they still persist, then every time they move, you just want to say whoa and bump, bump, bump on that halter. As soon as they stand still, you give them slack, pet them, good. Let them know that when they move around, you're gonna jerk on their head, and when they stop, you're gonna give them the slack and reward them. And if you're consistent with that, they'll stand here really good to be saddled. Now this little guy, I have saddled him one time before, and he was pretty skittish about the saddle. I'll clean some of the sand off the girth. Okay, kiddo. Okay, kiddo. There, he took that pretty good. Now at this point, if he started panicking, I would just hold on to him and try to get him to stop, and just keep him relaxed during this. Because some of these colts, when they feel the saddle on their back, they'll kind of start to panic, and you just kind of want to reassure them. You don't want to get after them too much. Yeah. Now it's okay that he's looking at the saddle, but I also want him to be aware of me. I don't want him looking over there and then freaking out and jumping on top of me. So make sure he's aware of where I'm at. Ho, ho. Now he's got a little worried there. So I just held on to him, held on to the saddle so it stayed there. You're all right, you're all right. I'm gonna shake it around a little bit. Yeah, you're okay. You're okay. Okay. I'm gonna turn him around so you can kind of see what I'm doing. He's kind of getting ready to panic. Oh, kiddo. Oh, kiddo. Now, I'm gonna rub him underneath the belly, get him ready to feel that cinch coming. And I'm gonna pull it up and then release it. Pull it up and release it. Let him just feel it off and on so that he doesn't panic. Okay, that didn't seem to bother him too much, so I'm gonna snug it up. Now, this is snug, but I got the feeling this colt's gonna buck. Okay, we've got the back cinched, tightened up. There's a little bit of slack in it. There's a couple inches of slack in it. And I've got the front cinch tight enough to where the saddle's not gonna go anywhere. I'm not cutting him in two at that front cinch. I don't want it too tight, but I want it snug enough to where that saddle's gonna stay on. Okay, now I'm just gonna back off here and let him kind of go. I'll ask him to move forward. Now that wasn't too bad, a little bit of crow hopping there. Now he's pulling on me. I'm gonna pull on him, let him know that he's gotta Oh, good. You got a little slobber, huh? You got a little slobber? Good, that was good. You're okay. Now take him the other way. Now you see that, the back of the saddle sticking way up like that? He's got a hump in his back. And as long as that is there, you sure don't want to get on him. So we're gonna work him until that hump is out of his back. I'm gonna put the snaffle on him though. Come here, kiddo. That's a good boy. Okay, and here again, I want this horse to, right from the start, learn how to be bridled real nice. So I'm gonna put my fingers right behind his ears. Good. Good boy. Good boy. And pull his head back up. Do it again, press down. As soon as he starts to go down, I'm gonna release it. I'm just holding it steady. There. Pull pressure on it again. As soon as it goes down, release that pressure. Let him know that you want him to drop his head whenever you put pressure behind his ears. That's a good boy. Okay, let's try to bridle him here. He's had the snaffle bit on one time. He doesn't like it. Oh, kiddo. Oh, kiddo. Well, even though he's only had the snaffle on one time, his mouth is quiet, so that one time was enough for him to get used to it. Okay, now what I'm going to do is attach the reins to the saddle. Oh, little guy. Oh, little guy. And now I'm going to take my lunge line, snap it onto the curb strap so that I've got contact with his mouth when I pull on him. Now I'm going to tighten the saddle up a little bit more because he loped around there and relaxed a little bit, so now the cinch is loose. There we go. Now I'm just going to go ahead and lunge him some more. And I'm going to lunge him until that hump is out of his back. See how the back of the saddle's coming up like that? Whenever he pulls on me, I'm going to bump the snaffle so that he knows that he can't pull on me. Ho, ho, say ho, bump the lunge line. Ask him to go the other way. I'm gonna step to my right, lead him with the left hand. Come here. Good. That's my boy. That's my boy. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and pull on this colt a little bit. Get him following the pull from the reins and get him thinking about being controlled. Now, from what I've seen so far, this colt's gonna want to buck when I first get on him. I want to make darn sure I can get his head and control him. Now, this little guy here, we're just gonna run him on by and pull him around. Now I'm going to pull him, ask him to go by, and pull him, and pull him, and pull him, step to him, and pull him, step to him, and pull him, and pull him. Good. Notice when I pull him, he's coming to me. That's what I want. I don't want him to just plant the front end and kick his butt out. I want that front end to come to me when I pull him. Good. Good. Good, good, good. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. Check the cinch. We're going to snug it up a little bit more. Now, I'm going to make sure he knows how to give his head with a little bit of pull on the rein. So what I'm going to do is test him with the direct rein from the snaffle bit. Stand out to the side, bump, bump, bump. Good. Notice how the front end came around when I did that? Well, that's exactly what I want. Good boy. And I'm going to test it on this side. Bump, bump, bump. And I'm just barely bumping it, and he's giving his head and bringing the front end. That's perfect. That's exactly what. Now he's not coming. I'm going to make him come. There he goes. Now, if he didn't give his head to the side like that, I would tie his head around. I'd go ahead and put the rein behind the saddle, snug it up, tie it off to the saddle horn, and I'd just go ahead and leave him for about 15 minutes like that until he learned to give to it. Good. Now, at the start, you want to, if you're going to tie their head around like this, you want to do it just enough so that the horse learns to give his head lightly, and no more than that. You know, this isn't something you want to do every day for a week or two, because you'll get the horse so bendy that you're not going to be able to turn him when you take his head. So a little bit of this is good. Too much of it doesn't get the result that you want. You get your horse giving his head around to your knee and continuing to go straight, and you don't want that. At least not at this stage of the game. Okay, he looks pretty good there. Oh kiddo, oh kiddo. Now, this colt, my gut tells me from his reactions, he's not really ready to ride right now, today. I really think I need to do this, go through this routine a couple more days before I get on him. But for the sake of the camera here, I'm going to go ahead and get on him anyway. And I'll show you how to kind of get some control over a colt if you get in trouble. I think this colt is going to buck. I'm not positive. First thing I'm going to do is shorten up my stirrups. If you're going to ride a horse you think is going to buck or run off or whatever, it's going to be a tough ride. You want to jack your stirrups up at least a hole or two so there's no danger of you losing your stirrup. You lose your stirrup and it's all over. You're going to be on the ground. This way, if he wants to buck or run, at least I'm not going to lose my stirrups. Okay, kiddo. Okay, kiddo. First thing I'm going to do is get him used to my weight. And not only get him used to my weight, but let him see me up above him. A lot of colts panic basically just from seeing you up above them. If you've got a nice gentle horse that you can pony the colt off of, that's even better because then he can see you up above him before you ever get on him and he won't panic so much. Now I'm not going to take any chances. I'm going to cheek this colt and I'm just going to put my toe in the stirrup, let him feel my weight gradually, come right back down before he panics. That's a good boy. Put my toe in the stirrup. Come right back down before he panics. By coming right back down right away, he thinks, oh, that wasn't so bad. That was no big deal. That's a boy. I'm going to move around a little bit. Before I ever turn loose of his head, I'm going to have my feet in the stirrups. Shake around a little bit. Now I'm going to just have my toes in these stirrups in case I need to step off. And I'm going to hang on to his head while he makes these initial moves. If they're going to buck or run away, they're going to do it that initial move. So I want to make sure I've got his head. Now I'm going to kick on him a little bit. He's kind of grunting. And this is just to let him know that I'm up here while I've got his head. There's not much he can do when I've got a hold of his head like this. And if it got real bad, I could just step off. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. And get back on. Okay, now we've moved him around. He hasn't tried to buck yet, so I'm gonna keep him in a circle, and when I feel it's safe, I'm gonna let him go forward. And if I feel him get a little scary, start to panic, want to run or buck, I'm gonna take his head way around to the side. That's my emergency brake. And I might as well tell you now that emergency brake isn't 100%. It doesn't always work, but it does. But it does most of the time, 90% of the time. Okay, I'm asking him to go forward. He already knows what the cluck is from being lunged. So I bump him with my legs and cluck to him. Notice I've got my left rein shorter than my right, so I've got him in the circle. While he's in the circle, I'm going to go ahead and move around, shake a little bit. Notice my left hand, I'm bumping and releasing, bumping and releasing. I don't want him to pull steady on me, and I don't want to hang on his mouth steady either. I want to give him little pulls and releases to keep him light and giving his head. If I hold on to him steady, he's going to learn to take his head away from me, then I'll be in trouble. But if I keep him thinking he's got to give to that pull, I'm relatively safe. Now I'm going to move my legs back here, touch him in the shoulders. Now he's starting to trot, continue to bump. Now, I don't think he's completely over that cold. Yeah. Okay, cluck to him again, bump him with my legs. Now we did him to the right, to the left. I'm gonna do him to the right now. Little bumps to get his head. And again, I'm gonna keep that right rein short, and I'm gonna just pulls and releases. You notice I'm holding on to the saddle horn with my left hand. Don't let anybody tell you that it's a disgrace to hold the saddle horn. If it means going to the hospital or staying healthy, hold on to the saddle horn. I'm gonna kick on him a little bit this way. Okay, now he feels relatively safe. I'm gonna let him go forward. If he jumps or bucks, I'm going to pull him around. Now I'm going to test him before I need to. I'm going to pull him, pull, release, pull, release. I'm just going to test him, make sure he's going to come with that pull. Pull, release, pull, release. Let him know what it is before you actually need it. Pull, release, a little kick with my right leg. Well, he's actually kind of starting to relax now. Reach down the right rein, pull, release, and a little kick with the left leg. It's important when you're riding a colt that you keep your hands out in front of you and your reins are short enough to where if you need to get a hold of him, you can do it. If you're riding with the reins long and your hands back by your chest, if you got to pull him around, you're not going to be able to do it. You're going to lose your balance. So when you ride a colt, you get your hands out in front of you and you get your reins gathered up and you reach forward to give him slack so that if you need to take his head, boy, you've got it right there. Okay. Now, I'm pretty happy with the way this colt is acting. I'm actually a little surprised, to tell you the truth. I thought he would want to buck a little bit. And you know, for the first ride, if he just wants to walk, that's fine. There's no rule that says you have to trot and lope on the first ride. But he feels good enough. I'm going to take him up into a trot. I'm going to squeeze him with my legs. He doesn't know what my legs are for, so I'm going to cluck to him when I use them. Use the legs. Now he's starting to hump up, so I'm going to get ready to take his head away. Ask him to turn, he turned pretty good. Now he's ducking off to my right. I'm going to pull him around to the left. Pull, release, pull, release. Oh. Now he's he still has that dry cough from the cold that he had a couple of weeks ago, so I'm not going to work him very hard. He obviously needs a few more days to get over that, so I'm going to call it quits right here. Now I'm going to ask him to stop by saying whoa, and a little pull and release, a little pull and release, pull, release, ho, ho, ho. Good, good. Now I don't care if it took 30 foot to get stopped. I just wanted him to get it. Now if he hadn't got it, let's pretend like he didn't get it. The other method I use is I say whoa, and I pull, release, and then just pull him around. Ho, and stop them that way. When you pull them around, they're going to want to stop. Ho, pull, release, and he's not stopping. Let's pull him around. You notice how that stopped him when I took his head away and kind of pulled him? Good boy. We just want him to associate the word whoa with stopping. In this first ride, I'm not going to worry about trying to get him to back up or stop fast. Your first ride, you just want it to be a good experience for the colt. Nothing bad happening. Ho, ho, good boy, good boy. Ho, 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 good. Okay, now I'm going to step off. Now, getting off is the other place where you're kind of at risk. So, being this is his first ride, I'm gonna, come here kiddo, I'm gonna take hold of the head stall, bring his head around as I step off. Good boy, good boy. Now I'm pretty happy with that. He did pretty darn good. He worried me a little bit at the start. I thought he would be bad, but he came out of it. We took our time and he kind of started to settle down and then was really good. If I had a colt though that I knew for sure was going to be bad to buck, what I might do is have a helper get on the colt while I hold on to him with the lunge line, and I might just lead that person around while they're in the saddle. And that way, if the colt wants to buck, I've got him right here and I can jerk on him and keep him from bucking. And if you lead somebody around a few times, that really gets the majority of the problems out of them, the bucking and wanting to run away. And then you can get on them by yourself and you'll be fine. But that's enough for this colt. He did fine. I'd like to talk to you about some specialty equipment here. Every once in a while you'll get a colt that is really tough to handle. Either it's a bad-minded colt or he's been spoiled, or you know, he's just extremely tough to deal with. And for those kind of horses, I go ahead and use hobbles on them. Hobbles and sideline or a Scotch hobble. So I thought I'd show you how to use this stuff. And this equipment isn't for the novice. It's for people that understand horses and have a pretty good idea of how to handle themselves around a horse, because you can sure get hurt and you can sure hurt your horse if you don't do it right. And of course you can hurt your horse anyway, even if you do it right. Accidents can happen. But what's good, the main reason why I'll use the hobbles on a tough horse is a horse can only do two things. He can either run away from you, get away from you, or he can fight you. And the hobbles take away his ability to do either one. And so they realize they can't get away, they realize they can't fight, and so they just learn to to give up and tolerate what you want them to learn. They just go, well, gee, I can't escape and I can't fight. I might as well just see what he wants. And you can overcome a lot of bad problems with the hobbles and sideline. We all have horses that are tough for the shoer to get shod. Breaking the horse, the hobbles and sideline automatically makes him good to shoe. I mean, it just fixes that problem. The other advantage to it is if the horse ever gets hung up in wire or a rope, he'll stand there and won't fight it and cut himself to ribbons. If he's been hobble broke and he feels that around his legs, he's just going to stand there and wait for you to come to rescue him without cutting himself all up. And I think that's a big advantage. The other thing the hobble and sideline is good for, when you're teaching your horses to clip with the clippers, some horses just won't tolerate it. To be doctored, we've all had horses that the vet just can't do anything with because they won't stand still. The hobbles and sideline are the answer to that. So the first thing I'm going to do is tie this horse up with something that won't allow him to get hurt, or it will at least minimize the chances of him getting hurt. I'm going to grab my nylon lariat here, and I'm going to run this lariat through the halter, the nose part of the halter. I'm going to go around the top of his neck, and then I'm going to tie a bowline knot. And the bowline knot is so that the rope won't tighten down on his neck and choke him, okay? We want to tie a knot that will not slip. So what we've got is the rope around his neck, about halfway down his neck, okay? It's important that it's down here. There's no nerves down here, and his vertebrae is more protected by muscle, so there's less chance of injury if he pulls back. Also, by using the nylon lariat, it's unbreakable. So we're not going to have to worry about the rope breaking or the halter breaking and him flipping over backwards. So I'm going to tie him up, and whenever you're going to tie a horse up, you always want to tie him up at least as high as their withers, okay? You want to tie them down low, because then here again you risk injury by pulling their neck down. And you want to tie them to something really stout that they cannot budge. You don't want to tie them to some flimsy board or something like that. You always want to tie them to a nice solid post. So I'm going to take his lead rope off of him. Come here, kiddo. Now I'm going to tie this colt to this stout post. That's a good boy. And I'm not going to snub him up to it real tight, but I'm not going to have it real long either. I want him fairly secure there. Now, if you can, tie this off down the line a ways. That way, if you need to get him untied, you can do it in a spot where you're not close to him. If he starts thrashing around, you don't want him to be able to reach you and jump on you. So that's why I'm tying this off down here. It's just a safety feature. That's a little too short. Okay, there we go. It's just about right. Now, first thing I'm going to do is teach this horse what it is to be Scotch hobbled. So I'm going to take my rope. This is a 1-inch soft cotton rope, and it's important that it's 1 inch in diameter, and it's real important that it's soft cotton because you don't want to burn the horse. So first thing I'm going to do, put a bowline knot in the rope and make a loop around his neck, just like so. Now I want to get him to step into this. And all I just want one hind leg. I got 2 here. Get him to step back. Okay, now I'm gonna put a little pressure on this, let him know that it's coming. A really wild 2-year-old would start freaking out right about now, which is fine. You just let him do it. And you just play around here. And this is a real docile colt, so he's not doing much. Now, after I play around a little bit and when he starts calming down, then I'll go ahead, bring that hind leg up, tie it off with a half hitch, and then I'll step back and let him test that. Now notice, I don't have it so short that he can't touch the ground. He can get that foot on the ground. He just doesn't like the fact that it's putting pressure and trying to hold his hind leg up. Good. Now he kind of gave up there. And this is a pretty docile colt. Some of them will really throw a fit. Now I'll go ahead and I'll pick it back up, see if he'll test it. Good. Now that he's accepted that, I'm going to tie it up a little shorter. And again, do the half hitch. Make sure you don't get your fingers caught in this rope. If he starts pulling just when you're tying that knot, you don't want to get your fingers caught. Now he's trying to put his foot down and he can't. So he's going to test it here pretty quick. And I guess not. He's going to give up. Good boy. Good boy. Push on him a little bit. Now he's going to test it. I'm going to Good. And I think he's pretty much done fighting that. Now normally, I'd go right to the other side and do it on the other hind leg also. But we're gonna speed things up a little bit for the camera here. Good boy, good boy, good boy. I'm gonna move him over. There we go. Now we'll get him to step in it again. And again, we pick it up. And now we're gonna go to phase 2. I'm gonna pull his hind leg up. Tie it off with a half hitch. There. Now, I'm going to put the Scotch hobble on. Now he's going to fight it a little more. Notice he's biting the rope. He's mad right now. Now, go ahead and Scotch hobble him a little tighter. Do my half hitch. Now I'm going to put the sideline on him. And the reason I Scotch hobble him to put the sideline on is I don't want him kicking me while I put this on. And the sideline is basically just a single hobble with the rope attached to it. So he's got his leg up. I'm going to go ahead and put this on. Whenever you do this, you want to stay on your feet. Don't kneel down. Give this horse a chance to get you. Okay. Now, I'm also gonna hobble his front legs. Just a regular hobble. And here again, keep at least 1 foot underneath you, so if you need to jump back, you can do it. Okay, I've got the hobbles on him. Now, we're going to take our sideline rope and we're going to tie it to the front hobbles. Again, using a bowline knot. You want to do this as fast as you can. There. Okay, now I've got the Scotch hobble tied to the front hobbles. We're all set. I'm going to take off the Scotch hobble. Oh, kiddo. Now, I'm going to untie the colt. Take this rope completely off. Okay, take the Scotch hobble completely off, and we're going to turn him loose and let him figure out what those hobbles are. He's going to test them. With the Scotch hobble on his hind leg tied to the front hobbles, he can't pick up his front legs and move that way. He can stand still, but if he tries to move, then he's going to go down on his knees like that. There we go. He's going to test it, and the best thing to do is just stand back and let him find out what it's about. Now, a lot of people will just put the front hobbles on without the Scotch hobble, and I think that's a mistake, because they can learn to pick up those front feet, and they can gallop with front hobbles on, and pretty soon they've learned that hobbling means nothing. They can still get away. You put the Scotch hobble on with it, and they can't pick their front feet up and lope. They'll go to their knees. So they learn that, boy, if there's anything around their legs, they got to stand completely still. Good boy. Good boy. And of course, I would do it with both hind feet. Now I'm going to go ahead and fly spray this colt. And see if he's going to fight the hobbles a little bit, because he hates to be fly sprayed. See, and that's fine. He's learning that he can't get away from me. Good. And again, we'll give him time to figure it out. Now, I'm not going to get between him and the fence. That's always a mistake. Fly spray him a little bit more. Okay, right there was something pretty important. You notice how he turned to face me and gave me that look like, help. Boy, that's, I want that, because earlier he was mad, he was sullen. And right for an instant there, he said, boy, can you help? Can you help? I can't figure this out. And I do want him to look to me for help. You're all right. You're okay. He's got a little different expression on his face now. And this is also good if you have a horse that's extremely disrespectful of you, a horse that wants to bite you all the time or kick you or strike you. Boy, I tell you, this will sure fix that. And when he's hobbled and sidelined like this, you can do anything you want with him. And this little guy, he hasn't learned that he's got to freeze yet, so he's still going to test him. And I've got the sideline a little long. I probably should shorten it up a little bit more. Oh, there, little guy. Oop, now he stepped out of it because I had it too loose. And now he's getting a little tangled, which is fine. Oh, okay, I'm going to take him off him. Oh, kiddo. Oh, kiddo. And here again, when you take him off, at least keep 1 foot underneath you so you can move out of the way if you have to. Oh, kiddo. Oh, kiddo. Yeah, that's a good boy. Okay, that's good enough for that. You get an idea of how to do that, and that can sure come in handy and really save you a lot of problems and keep you safe also. Good boy. Okay, before we end this tape, I'd like to just review some of the things we touched on. Remember, we started out with teaching the colt how to lead beside us, and I know a lot of you are going to want to skip that step, but trust me on this. Don't skip that step. You know, teach that colt to lead correctly and teach him to lunge, because that's the first step in this whole process. It's important that you do it. If you can't get your colt to lead well like that, the rest of it's not going to go well either. The next thing that we talked about was getting your colt's respect. And I can't emphasize this enough. If your colt does not respect you, you're going to have a tough time getting him trained. It goes back to, well, here's a good example. We get colts in here all the time that other people had started, and there's big holes in their foundation. They weren't started well. And a lot of it is due to basically a lack of respect on the colt. They'll be bucking, they'll want to run off. They won't pay attention to what we're trying to tell them. And here again, that's just a lack of respect. Once you get that colt's respect, you know, he's going to be listening to you, and he'll try to figure out what you want of him. And boy, that's when things start happening good. You know, things will start clicking. But until you get that respect, you're not going to have a lot of luck. The other thing I want to emphasize is this first 30 days of riding on your colt. Don't rush him. Don't be too demanding. If you're riding him around and he's kind of bouncing off the fences and he doesn't steer perfectly or stop perfectly, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. That'll come. The first 30 days is really just a breaking in period. He's getting used to you, you're getting used to him. He's kind of finding out what it is to be a saddle horse. And don't be too critical, you know, and whatever you do, don't get him scared of you. You know, try to build his confidence up. And then your next 30 days, then that's the time to start, you know, working on his stops and his turns, and starting to get serious about that. And if you need help with that, we have other videos that pick up where this video leaves off. That'll show you how to get your horse stopping and turning better. The other thing that I'd like to stress before we leave is getting this foundation solid. This is basically the platform that all this colt's future is going to be built on. You've got to do this right. Get him started right. Get this foundation really right. Get it solid. Don't skip any steps. Because if you don't get this right, the rest of the training is going to be hard to do, because you won't have anything solid to build on. So anyway, let's wrap it up. I hope you liked this video. I hope you learned some things that'll help you with your horse. And until I see you again, good luck.